Hi lovelies, I'm Eileen, the Mellow Astrologer, and I wanted to do this video to let you know that we have some big astrology coming up in the next few weeks. And if you don't already have these dates on your calendar, it's really simple. I have this freebie that you can download. It's an oversized bookmark with dates and tips for how to navigate these times. And the great bit about this freebie is that when you download it, you can just click a link and it will add all the dates and the tips directly to your digital calendar. It's practically effortless. It will take you only a few minutes at most. And then you don't have to write down these dates or keep them in your mind, okay? So we have an eclipse season coming up. An eclipse season, there's always 2 or 3 eclipses at within a few weeks intervals, and this is why they're called eclipse seasons. We also have a Mercury retrograde coming up, and then we have the second of 3 Saturn square Uranus. I will explain what this means, bear with me. So first of all, on Wednesday, May 26th, we have the first of 2 eclipses. The eclipses are 3 weeks apart, and the first one is, they're 2 weeks apart. The first one is May 26th. It's a full moon lunar eclipse. So the sun is moving into the sign of Gemini, and therefore this eclipse will happen in the sign of Sagittarius. The full moon is always opposite of the sun sign, the polarity point. So we have sun in Gemini, full moon in Sag. This will happen at 5 degrees for those of you who are studying. Now, eclipses are always really intense, big energy. So you're going to feel this energy. It's a cosmic event. How it affects you will be different than how it affects the next person. This is why you want to call me and find out how the year's astrology is going to show up in your life, because it's different for everybody. If this eclipse, say, falls in your 10th house, well, that's the house of career and our reputation and our work, our profession maybe. Whereas the 7th house is our house of relationships. So having an eclipse fall in your house of career is obviously going to look and feel much different than having an eclipse fall in your house of relationship. Again, this is why you would work with an astrologer, so that you can better understand how the year or a cycle's celestial energies might appear in your life. So first we have an eclipse on May 26th. Again, big energy. Just notice this. You don't need to do anything with it. Just be aware the energy is big and you're probably going to feel it. I recommend on eclipse days that you have as much solitude as possible. You focus on your spiritual practice. You meditate, you journal, you sit in contemplation. It's not a good day to go party. It's not a good day to drink. It's not a good day to do drugs. And the reason being is that you have a heightened system. Your body is more alert to the energies. You're more sensitive. Therefore, you want to protect your energetic field and to nurture yourself. It's a good day for self-care. Okay, that's May 26th. And then just after that, on May 29th, Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Gemini. For those of you studying astrology, Mercury rules 2 signs, Gemini and Virgo. So it's going retrograde in one of the signs that it rules. Now, some people are going to get freaked out by this, like, oh my God, Mercury going retrograde in Gemini, it's going to be even worse. I actually don't think that will be the case. I think that we will find that because it's in Gemini, maybe we don't have as many snafus as we usually do. Think about, if you remember back in February of 2020, Mercury went retrograde in Pisces, and that was before the pandemic. It was February, March, and it was just a shit show. Everything was a mess. Nobody was communicating well. It was the worst Mercury retrograde I've ever experienced since I started studying astrology. And so the sign in which Mercury is retrograde really does make a difference. Mercury is an exceptionally effective communicator when it's in the sign of Gemini. So I anticipate that the snafus that we're going to experience will not be as severe as when it's in a sign where it's not as effective of a communicator. During the Mercury retrograde, which lasts for 3 weeks, it's from May 29th to June 22nd. Yes, you just want to be careful about how you're communicating. Go above and beyond to communicate clearly and effectively with others. If you're scheduling an appointment, double check that you're both talking about. Don't say, oh, I'll see you on Tuesday. Say, I'll see you on Tuesday, June, whatever that date is, right? You want to be clearer. Also expect that you might have to redo things, that you might have some car problems. Okay, these are all the superficial aspects of a Mercury retrograde, but in reality, what the Mercury retrograde on a spiritual level is asking us to do, Mercury represents the mind and our perceptions, integrating our perceptions, growing from experiences. So a Mercury retrograde is asking us to reflect upon and integrate the last period of time since the previous Mercury retrograde. Now, if you have this, you have all of these dates already. The last Mercury retrograde, January 30th to February 20th. Okay, so 3 months ago. So we're going to be reflecting upon and integrating the last 3 months of time. It's a review period. So if your car stalls out and you're waiting for the tow truck, if you scheduled a meeting and they're late and you have 30 minutes to burn and you're frustrated, allow yourself some meditation time, allow yourself some self-reflection time. Take it as a cosmic boon that you're being given the time or the opportunity to redo something, to strengthen it, to reconsider, to rethink. Typically, our knee-jerk response to situations like this is frustration, anger, blaming others, etc. But I'm going to encourage you to shift the perspective and see it as a blessing in disguise, that you're being given an opportunity, even if that opportunity doesn't feel like it. Okay, like I get that. We're human. Redoing something is frustrating. And especially if we're really busy, it feels like it's just draining my time. I don't want to redo that. That's so-and-so's fault. But our Mercury retrograde period comes every 3 months for 3 weeks. So the sooner we can accept the nature of reality, which is that we have to redo things, we have to rethink things, we have to reconsider, our car needs to be serviced, our computer might break down. When we can accept that that's just the nature of reality, then we can move through those experiences differently, okay? And then we're gonna have the second eclipse in this eclipse season, and that's June 10th. It's a solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini. So the eclipses occur, in the polarity points. So full moon lunar eclipse in Sag, and then the next eclipse is a solar eclipse in Gemini because the sun is in the sign of Gemini. So we have a lot of this Gemini energy being highlighted. Mercury in Gemini, the sun in Gemini. Currently Venus is in Gemini, but she will only be there for another 10 days, I believe. And we also have, of course, anytime we have an eclipse, the nodes of the moon, which are mathematical points in evolutionary astrology, which is what I practice, the nodes of the moon are our destiny points. So they're extremely significant, and the eclipses always happen with the nodes. So if you happen to know what sign the nodes are in, you know that that's where the eclipses are going to fall for the year. So the nodes are currently, the north node is in Gemini, the south node is in Sagittarius. Therefore, the eclipses are in Gemini and Sagittarius. Gemini and Sagittarius, the polarity points, it's about learning and teaching, discerning what is true. Sagittarius is the guru, Gemini is the student. The guru, the professor, etc. Gemini is the youthful student, the young person learning. So these are the energies that are coming to us through this eclipse period. Okay, Sagittarius and Jupiter, its ruling planet, are very much about what is true. Hence the guru, ultimate truth, ultimate reality. Okay, and through consumption of knowledge or even relinquishing of knowledge, we find what is true for ourselves. That's the Gemini archetype. Gemini is very much about our perceptions and ingesting information and knowing through comparison, learning through time. So what you believed 5 years ago, you don't necessarily believe now. One of my favorite MCs has this line in one of his songs. He says, "The older I am, the stupider I was." And I love this because, of course, as we age, we gain wisdom and knowledge, and we realize, I didn't know anything then. And so the older we get, almost like the stupider we feel. It's a funny way of saying it, but it's the realization that we don't know anything, right? When we're younger, we think we know everything, and then we get with age comes the wisdom of, actually, there's a lot I don't know. So that's this Gemini polarity. Sagittarius can be extremely dogmatic. I know everything. It's the church. It's the professor that thinks their way is the right way and the only way. It's the parent who's not willing to have a shift of perspective. Okay, Gemini, Sagittarius. And then after that, we have Mercury goes direct again on June 22nd, but just before that, on June 14th, we have the second Saturn square Uranus. I could talk about what it means that Saturn is squaring Uranus for an hour, but I want to keep these videos brief, and I'm already at 11 minutes. So Saturn is about the traditional form, crystallization, structure, the material world. Uranus is a rebellious energy that is very forward-thinking and innovative in nature. It is also the ruler of electricity and sudden and unexpected events. So it's like things can happen very quickly. This year is being defined by Saturn and Uranus in contact with each other through a square aspect. Squares are experienced as challenging or tense energies. So this is how our human system, our bodies are going to experience the Saturn-Uranus square as tense, nervous, unexpected jolts. Okay, now this is not delightful. I personally am not looking forward to the second Saturn-Uranus square. However, because I study astrology and I have a spiritual practice, I also understand that the transcendent nature of these planets coming together is to assist us in breaking free from structures, routines, relationships, anything that is old and outdated and no longer serving your higher purpose or good. Individually and collectively, we're going to see this on a collective level as well, okay? So Uranus and Saturn making a square. It's like two cars coming together in a collision. Saturn being the old, outdated, worn out things that need to change, and Uranus saying, we're not doing this anymore. This needs to change, okay? Which is why it can be sudden and unexpected. It can feel that way. And this can be with social movements or in our own personal lives. But remember, the severity of the experience, and it doesn't have to be severe. I'm just using this word to say that the extent of our experience with this energy is directly correlative to what needs to change. So if you've been resisting something that needs to change, and you're resisting and you're resisting and you're resisting, Uranus is not going to let you resist any longer. But if you're like, I know that thing needs to change, fine, I accept what the universe is giving me. I know this is the nature of my reality. I know that what I resist persists. Then when it comes to you maybe aren't going to like it. I'm not saying you're going to love it. Maybe you will. It's doubtful with a square. The change is probably going to be something that's like, oh man, it's like my office. I have to move my office. Man, I do not want to move my office. I do not. I can go home and cry about it and be a victim about it. Or I can say every now and again to a friend, I don't want to move my office, but God, I have to, so suck it up. That's just the way it is. Okay. And guess what? My office is moving just a few days after the second square. Okay, so this is an example of how it plays out in people's lives. We have 3 exact squares this year. That exact means when they are transiting in the sky, when the degree orb is very tight. If you're not studying astrology, just ignore that. You don't need to know. So these are the big energies that are coming up. Be aware, this is for the next month. It doesn't mean you're afraid or you're worrisome. It just means that as you are moving through the day, if you're experiencing tense energies or if you're overwhelmed or if you're feeling nervous or anxious, whatever it may be, that's because there are some big celestial events that are reorienting us further after 2020 and COVID. We know that we're still unfolding in this process. So just be advised. And of course, if you want to know specifically where in your own life this is playing a role, please call me and schedule a consultation. If you like this video, hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I love you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Ciao.